And welcome, everybody, all of our adoring fans, to the first ever virtual episode of the Gridiron Lion Show. This was not planned, but we're just going to roll with it anyway. I'm your co-host, Casey Kreider, alongside, well, in a virtual sense, on a computer screen, my incredibly handsome, amazing co-host, Zachary Stephen Rhoda. Zach, how we feeling today?
I'm I'm feeling amazing, Casey. This is certainly something different, but we're doing it together, and we're accompanied by a good friend of ours, Dylan Mellinger, who let me just address the elephant in the room. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan, and that is why we just had to have him on this episode this week. As you know, being an Eagles fan, Eagles Cowboys, we've had our fair share of heated arguments and debates in the past, and you guys might witness one tonight. So,
How you doing, D-Mel?
I'm feeling great. I'm a proud fan of America's team, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk some sports with these guys, and I'm happy to get with it. Let's go.
Yeah, so if you were wondering, our producer, Jace Gibbons, had a massive computer meltdown today, and that's why we're doing this virtually, because he is basically our entire technical department. We just get paid, well, not paid. We don't get paid anything to do this, but we're just designated to talk and give our opinions and know nothing about the technical side of anything. So here we are on Zoom instead, and ready to break down. So here's how we're going to do this, a little bit different. For this episode, we want to focus, obviously, mostly on the Eagles and Cowboys because, A, that's the biggest game this week, and B, we have Zach, D-Mel, an Eagles and a Cowboys fan. What more could you possibly ask for? But before we get to that, we are the Gridiron Lion Show, so we'd be a little remiss if we didn't preview a very big matchup that Penn State football has this weekend against the Michigan Wolverines, coming in at number 5 in the country. Penn State is ranked number 10, coming off a bye week. Zach, we talked about it a little bit last week, but this game is huge for Penn State in the big house, and it's really going to be a game that kind of helps set the tone of Penn State's season.
oh, I completely agree. This game is going to determine the rest of our season. And I'll tell you right now, I know we've already kind of discussed how you view this game pretty optimistically. You think we can go into Michigan and come away with a win. I, on the other hand, disagree with you. I just have a really bad feeling about this. And do I think we can beat them? Oh, of course. But it's just, this is definitely the first legitimate test that this team is going to be facing. And I think we're going to put up a really good fight against them, but I just have a bad gut feeling that we're going to go to Michigan, we're going to lose this game, we're going to beat Minnesota because it's the whiteout, and then we're just going to lose to Ohio State, and then our season is just going to take a turn into looking more towards the future, and Drew Aller will finally become the full-time starter that a lot of fans have kind of been hoping to see.
I think it's possible, but here's my perspective on it and why I think that Penn State look, I think this game could honestly go either way. I have a hard time picking one direction or the other. My gut probably leans like 51-49 toward Michigan, mainly because they're at home. But here's what I'm going to say. Michigan hasn't really been tested all season either. Their biggest test so far this year is Indiana. And they did not look very good against Indiana for most of that game last weekend. They played on Saturday against the Hoosiers, and that was a close game really all the way until the fourth quarter. Blake Corum had he struggled a little bit for the most part. His box score honestly looks better than he probably did most of the game. And the same can be said for J.J. McCarthy, their quarterback. Blake Corum is one of the best running backs in the country, I would say, for Michigan. But I feel like if this Penn State defense, which we know is good, especially up front in the secondary, if they can shut down or slow down Blake Corum and make J.J. McCarthy, Michigan's quarterback, have to win the game against our secondary, I feel like that's where Penn State really has the opportunity to take advantage of this matchup. Now, obviously, we'll have to see what they do on offense with Clifford and that amazing freshman duo running back of Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen. But I think there's opportunity here because I honestly don't think Michigan is as good as we think they are. Now, I'm not saying that they're worse than Penn State, but I don't think they're not the team that I think played Penn State last year, and that was a team that we almost beat. And I would say we're better this year than we were a year ago when they came here. So I think there's opportunity. I really do. It's going to be a tough game, but I think there's a chance that if Penn State executes and can shut down Michigan's offense, like Indiana was kind of doing last week, that there might be an opportunity.
I think this game simply is just going to come down to us and whether or not we're able to run the football. I think that's the key to this game. If we can get our young running back duo involved early and just get them going and then just keep Michigan off the field, and then our defense as well comes to play, does their job, I think we'll come away with a win. But
it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
D-Mel, you got any thoughts here?
Yes, I do. I think this game is going to be in the trenches. Who can run the ball the best? You got Penn State with Nick Singleton. He's a great freshman, but also on the other side, you're one of the best running backs in the country. So I really think it just depends who can run the ball and which quarterback doesn't have to throw the much. You got JJ McCarthy kind of on the same page as Sean Clifford. You don't really want it in his hands. So I think that's where this game is going to go.
It's interesting because Michigan had a very similar quarterback situation to what we at Penn State had with McCarthy and Cade McNamara, who was their starter last year and led them to the CFP. And McCarthy came in this year, took over the starting job as a sophomore, I believe. So we're kind of 1 year behind the Michigan quarterback cycle right now with Clifford and Aller. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting, guys. It's going to be a wild game in the Big House, big noon Saturday on Fox. So we'll get Gus Johnson, and I'm sure that'll be entertaining to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a top 10 matchup, and I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on this before we let this go. If Penn State does win this game, how high up the AP poll do you think that votes them? Because I think a win for Penn State on Saturday definitely puts them at least in the top 5.
It depends on who loses. I
There's-
don't know if
there's-
it'll put us past anyone who's in the top 4. Definitely not.
Well, here's
Alabama's going to stay there. Georgia's going to stay there. Ohio State's going to stay there. But then I think we'll be close to Ohio State probably. But I think they'll give them the edge.
Well, there's a big game. Sorry, Dima, I didn't mean to cut you off. But Alabama and Tennessee play this week, and that's a top 6 matchup right there. Alabama's number, I think it's 3 now, or no? Are they? Yeah, I think they are number 3. And Tennessee's number 6 with Hendon Hooker. They're both undefeated. So one of those teams is going to lose. So there's a possibility that we could potentially. I mean, if Tennessee wins, maybe we leapfrog them too. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I would say they move up into the top 6. I know there's a lot of big matchups this weekend, so the whole top 10 is going to get kind of switched around after this week. So this would be a huge game for Penn State to get ahead of that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We will talk more about that game and recap it next week, and of course preview the iconic Penn State whiteout against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, which will be next Saturday back at Beaver Stadium. But gentlemen, with that being said, let's turn our attention to the National Football League, and let's talk a little bit about last week. Not a ton, but we got a couple games we want to focus on. Obviously, with Zach and Demo being here, we want to focus on Eagles and Cowboys. But I made a petition or a plead to Jace and the rest of our crew here to go on a brief little Broncos exploration, we'll call it. Obviously, if you were forced against your will to watch that game on Thursday, I sincerely apologize. I can gratefully say I was not one of those people. But oh my goodness. Here's how I'm going to start this, okay? Russell Wilson and this Denver Broncos experiment has been a complete failure through 5 games. It has been nothing short of that. It's amazing how this team has looked so incompetent every week with Nathaniel Hackett at head coach, and with Russell Wilson at quarterback. It is clear when you watch this team play that they are not disciplined and they don't look inspired to play for either Nathaniel Hackett or Russell Wilson. It is absolutely pathetic. And you've got an opportunity on a Thursday night game against a Colts team that's depleted, basically missing their top 2 running backs the entire game. And all you basically have to do, I mean, the defense is playing out of their minds. Caden Stearns had an amazing game. They're playing out of their minds, and you can't score a touchdown for 69 minutes of game time. You can't score a touchdown. And that final play, that 4th and 1. I know Richard Sherman was on the post game screaming to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. But dude, you had KJ Hamler running wide open across the field. Where is he? Where is he? Someone get this man a map. I don't know where he's at. He was wide open. Like, dude, how, like, you cannot miss those throws if you're Russell Wilson. And I understand that, you know, now all these reports coming out, oh, well, he's got a shoulder injury. Dude, a shoulder injury does not excuse bad decisions. That doesn't fix your eyesight, okay? You've got to make people, you've got to make these right reads. You've got to make these throws. And Russell Wilson has not been doing that. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. It's pathetic what the Broncos are putting out right now. They somehow are more unwatchable than they've been the last 5 years. And they're paying their quarterback $250 million. I can tell you this much. If this experiment, it's 5 games, okay? I'm not going to sit here and be completely delusional and say they can't turn it around. But if this experiment that with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett ends up being a failure, I can guarantee you, George Payton, general manager, is gone. He's going to get fired. And this entire front office heads are going to roll, because this could go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history if the Broncos end up being a complete failure and aren't even playoff relevant for the next year or two. It's a disgrace what they're putting on the field right now, and they've got to turn it around.
Wow. That might have surpassed your rant after week 1. That came out of nowhere. I didn't watch the game, but I had quite a few. It was extremely fantasy relevant for me because I have in combined leagues Russell Wilson, Melvin Gordon, and Jerry Jeudy. And every single week they're just disappointing me. And that final score, the fact that it was 12-9 and they went to overtime, that tells me that neither team could score. And the Colts, they have somewhat of an excuse. They didn't have Jonathan Taylor, who they run their offense through. And the Broncos, I mean, they just are incompetent this year. And I don't enjoy watching them anymore. And I can't even imagine how you feel as a Broncos fan.
I mean, week 1, you could almost kind of excuse, and at the time, you could kind of write that off. All right, that's a fluke. I mean, it's Seattle. It's an emotional game. Like, okay, makes sense. But, dude, you're 5 weeks into the season, and this team seems incapable of scoring touchdowns every single week. Their only 2 wins are against the Houston Texans, who are probably a bottom 3 team in football, and even then, they only beat them by 1 score, and against the San Francisco 49ers. And the only game is because Jimmy Garoppolo had probably the worst starting experience of his entire life to this point in his NFL career. Like, those are your 2 wins. And it doesn't get easier. They get the Chargers on Monday night this week. I'm sorry for everyone that has to endure that game on primetime this week, because I can guarantee you Los Angeles is going to run up the score on Denver if they get the opportunity. It's just, it's sad. It really is. Demo, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, I'm very shocked of how this season went for Denver. I had them possibly winning the division. I know I had them at least in the wild card, and there's still a chance still. Like, it's still pretty early in the year. But that game last week really, really hurt the Broncos. I think that it just hurt the locker room in general. Russell Wilson, he's not playing like Russell Wilson. I mean, we saw flashes of that last year in Seattle of him not playing his best ball. But we all thought a restart button would help that, and it has not. We all saw Hamler wide open in the end zone. You can see his frustration also, and that just has to be the whole locker room right now. And I do think it starts at the top, though. Down the front office, all right, you went all in on Russell Wilson, but when you do that, you have to find a capable head coach. And I don't think I forget his name already. I'm sorry. Yes, I don't think he was the right option. I know they were interviewing my beloved Dan Quinn, and I'm grateful that he didn't go to Denver. But I think he would have maybe set a better culture in that locker room. But there's still plenty of football left. They are in a tough division, which is going to hurt them in the end. But we're just going to see how things roll out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. I had a thought I was gonna say and I completely lost it, but I mean, you guys basically said what I was thinking too, and it's just the locker room right now. I think is the biggest issue because I mean, we've seen this week, even people in the media, NFL personalities, they've all come out and they've all slammed Russell Wilson, and it's almost just like, I mean, it's like pile on Russell Wilson week basically, and I don't see how what's happened so far can't affect a locker room and can't split a locker room. Because there was also a video or a clip, I think, of Melvin Gordon on the sideline kind of giving Russ like a side eye after that. Because they didn't run it. I mean, it's not good right now, man. It's not good. But that being said, that's about all the time the Broncos are worth talking about at this point. So let's move on to two teams that are both superiorly and supremely better. Let's talk about, okay, these two games were going on at the same exact time on Sunday, and two pretty big games, as it turned out to be. The Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. D-Mel, this was a game, correct me if I'm wrong, Jace, I think I at least picked the Rams to win this game, and I think Zach did too.
No, I had the Cowboys.
No, he had the Cowboys.
Wow.
I thought I had the Rams winning.
Okay,
noticing on the show, I always just pick the result that I kind of don't want to see happen, at least when it comes with the Eagles and Cowboys. Because that's a recurring joke we have on the show is I always pick the Eagles to actually lose.
Reverse psychology.
And then, like, as you see there, I had the Cardinals winning, which we'll get to after this, but I seriously thought we were going to lose that game in the fourth quarter.
But that being said, let's break down this Rams Cowboys game just a little bit because D-Mel, I mean, I know obviously you've been watching these Cowboys every week, and a lot of people thought when Dak Prescott, I mean, the offense looked terrible week one, and when Dak Prescott got hurt, a lot of people thought, I mean, man, the season could be over before it begins for Dallas, and now here we are, 4 games later. Cooper Rush is undefeated as a starter, and Dallas right now looks like one of the best teams, certainly in the NFC, if not the entire NFL. What are your thoughts on what we saw Sunday and what we've seen from them so far this year?
Week one, let's just start there. After week one, I was very disappointed. Obviously, how that game turned out. After Dak got hurt and he was supposed to be out for a while, started looking up mock drafts already. I won't even lie. That's how disappointed and I knew how the season was going to go because we saw that when Dak was out the whole year, a couple of years ago, when he broke his ankle and how that turned out. But this defense is what's carrying the Cowboys right now. And we are not turning the ball over on offense. Cooper Rush isn't throwing interceptions left and right. I think Kellen Moore is doing a great job right now of just simplifying the game plan, running the ball with your 2 star running backs, use play action, give it to your playmakers. And this defense, it just starts with Micah Parsons. How can it not? Is he not the best player in the whole entire league right now? Like he could be. That impact that he has, getting double, triple teamed, opens up other guys on this D line who are just taking those opportunities of one-on-ones. And then Trayvon Diggs, last year, boom or bust, however you want to call it, been very well this year. He's doing a great job of just being in coverage and not giving up those big plays, but also taking those chances with those interceptions.
I think Micah Parsons is winning Defensive Player of the Year. that was one of my early predictions before the season started, or at least like week 1 or 2, where I don't know if I had him winning. I think I just had TJ Watt, which we all know what happened with that. And who knows if he did play the full season, he'd probably be right there with Micah Parsons. But I think it was like TJ Watt, Aaron Donald, and Micah Parsons as a dark horse candidate. And I mean, Micah Parsons, he's he's one of those players. He literally, you can line him up anywhere. He can do anything. I mean, and even in high school, he was playing running back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was in Harrisburg, and he's just one of those freak athletes where he literally can do anything on the football field.
Yeah, it was pretty wild how like when he came into the league last year, DML. I mean, you remember he was kind of more of that linebacker, that middle linebacker role, and they basically just moved him to an edge rusher because that's basically what he's been so good at, and really just adapted to that. And yeah, I mean, he's been just outstanding so far this year for Dallas. But yeah, that offense too. I mean, even with Cooper Rush, getting Michael Gallup back, I think was big. But CeeDee Lamb played well. Even Noah Brown, they seem to have a good connection.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's rolling on all cylinders right now, and you got to think that that makes Mike McCarthy feel pretty good too, because there were a lot of people doubting that he could find a way to win without Dak Prescott, and yet here they are.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
This offense is going to take off once Dak Prescott comes back. I'm sure we'll get to that. But once he comes back, this offense is going to skyrocket.
We'll have to see. All right, let's move on here to Eagles Cardinals this week, particularly, and we'll Zach, I'll let you take the floor first for this one because this was an interesting game. It was close, pretty much. Well, yeah, all the way down to the end. Arizona came back from a 14-0 deficit early in the game, and it ultimately was tied at the end. Eagles go down, kick a short field goal. Cardinals are driving, and it looks like they're going to be in position to tie the game. And bit of a controversial / weird sequence of events at the end. It's 4th and 1. They bring out their field goal kicker, and I think the kick actually got tipped by somebody. But either way, it was a miss from 43, and Eagles hang on and are still the only undefeated team in the league. Zach, what are your takeaways from that game?
Casey, email. You want to talk about not only an offense that has already taken off since week 1, but a team that has taken off since week 1. The only undefeated team in the National Football League.
It's already starting.
Does it sound like Skip Bayless, my Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, my MVP, is firing on all cylinders. That man is a lot of people, or not a lot of people. I feel like almost every single person who you asked their thoughts on the Eagles going into the season, they always said, on paper, that roster, it checks all the boxes. It's amazing. It's literally going to come down to Jalen Hurts. And so far, he has not only reached expectations, he has surpassed them. He's playing out of his mind. And this game, it started off, they're red hot. They came out there. They look like, I thought it was probably going to get out of hands. I mean, the Cardinals, I know they're not one of the best teams in the league this season, at least right now, but it looked like we were having our way with them. Our offense was moving up and down the field. Dallas Goedert got involved early. He was having himself a day. And then something just in the second half happened where the Cardinals just seemed to figure them out. Our offense just wasn't moving as much, but theirs started to pick it up. And next thing you know, they're in position to win this game. Yeah. And they're driving down the field. Clock isn't on their side, but, they're right there. And with how they're moving, I kept thinking, they're going to win this game. And I predicted them to win this game before it even started. But I wasn't even thinking field goal. I was thinking they're going to score, and there's going to be, literally no time left on the clock for us to do anything. And then Kyler Murray's his
Intelligence.
his game management, his clock management at the end was like something that I would carelessly make in playing Madden, maybe, where we all saw it.
He-
He slid thinking he got the first down, immediately hurried everyone up to the line, spiked it. Next thing you know, fourth down, no time left. They have to kick the field goal.
He learned that from Call of Duty, Zach.
I'll tell you what,
Okay,
when
continue.
that field goal was missed, we had our backup kicker because of Jake Elliott going down last week, and I didn't even see that play. I don't even know what happened to him. All I know is we have Dicker the kicker, and you know what? Dicker is a fine kicker. That man hit every field goal we asked him to make in that game. And if we have to roll him out again this week, I feel confident. I think he'll do well. But you want to talk about a backup kicker that didn't do his job? Amendola? Yeah, that dude. When Matt Prater comes back, it's safe to say his job is pretty secure. Um, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Amendola, was he kicking for the Chiefs earlier this season?
Yep.
And the fact that this was week 5 and he's already been on 2 teams. Yeah.
Should tell you something. Yeah.
Overall, still pleased with the team. And I mean, ultimately, for this upcoming game, Eagles Cowboys, this is when things start to get really serious. This is when division implications, playoff implications start to really take the main stage. And 5-0, yeah. But if we get our ass beat by Dallas this week, especially if Cooper Rush is out there, I don't care about those 5 wins. What is that then? Like they got to take that momentum and just keep riding it, and then take care of all their divisional opponents as well, and then just see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. DML, what are your thoughts here?
My thoughts on this past game, Eagles and Cardinals.
Eagles. Yeah.
I was watching it side by side, so I got to see most of the game. And like Zach said, Eagles had their way very early in the game, the whole first half it seemed, and then it kind of fell apart, and the Cardinals started like the Cardinals do. They always, for some reason, I always think they always come back for some reason in the second half in games last year and this year. And Kyler Murray did his Kyler Murray thing. And I think if he would have gotten a first, they would win that game. They had so much momentum on that last drive, and he could have sealed it, and he couldn't get the job done. So he got the result that they deserved.
Okay. Yeah. And the point you made about the Cardinals always coming back, I feel like a lot of that might have to do with Cliff Kingsbury's background coming from that Texas Tech air raid offense where they're used to just airing it out and just throwing it. So,
I mean, also, I'm sure the Eagles are playing back though, like cover 3, like just like zone coverage, just let everything play in front of you, and like if they get a field goal, if this guy really hits a field goal, then good for them. But like
that's something I noticed also in the second half. They were just tearing apart our zone defense. Everyone was getting open on Arizona, and they don't have D-Hop obviously, and aren't they missing a few dudes? And then their running backs are depleted right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're the Cardinals are always kind of hit and miss, but yeah, Eagles found a way. The Cardinals found a way to get back in it, but Eagles found a way to stand tall there at the end. All right. So that being said, we've talked about each of our teams from last weekend. All right, voice of God. Can you tell us how Zach and I did on our picks last week? Because I have a feeling mine at least was not very good. But what do the numbers say?
So if we look at overall thus far, here are the scores. Zach is up 2. Casey over Casey. So Zach is 47, 32 and 1. Casey is 45, 34 and 1. That does not include this week.
Okay.
So
Not
back does not include this week. So this week
tied after last week, or am I wrong on that?
I don't know.
We tied not overall last week, but we tied for our weekly result.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think that's how that worked because we had one. Yeah, because this only has 5 weeks in it. So yeah. Wait, no. Well, okay. Well,
You can do that math. How's
so
week 5 though?
I did mess up. Spoiler work. You guys were tied up. But Zach won it this week, 10-6 over 8-8. So Zach is now up 2. That's how he got the 47. You are at 45.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I honestly thought I was below 500, so I'll take that. Raiders let me down last night with that one. I really thought they were going to pull the upset, but they didn't. So
yeah, you guys were tied at that point.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate, but you know, got plenty of time to get back in. It's still only a 2-game deficit here. I think we can get those picks turned around this week. What do you say, Zach?
Neither of us have gone below 500 yet, so
I've been close. I'm like the Steelers. I never finished.
I was literally thinking that when I saw your 8-8, I'm like,
yeah,
you're like the Mike Tomlin of predictions.
They will this year though. Don't worry. Right now, Jason, I just want to get your opinion on this. How do you feel that the Pittsburgh Steelers, if the season ended today, would have the number 1 overall pick in the draft?
Honestly, it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it at this point. Our defense is pretty depleted as far as that looks. I mean, TJ Watt, he was our statistical leader on defense through the first 2.5 weeks, and he only played half a game. So I feel like that says a lot about how much he means to our defense.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. No one can say we're not in a rebuilding year like that. I feel like everyone's accepted that at this point.
Can you accept that this is going to be the first losing season under Mike Tomlin? Are you ready to concede that?
I feel like it might be, but it's not going to be like we're not going to be like top 10 in the draft, though. I feel like.
When does TJ Watt come back?
He's not coming back, I don't think. If we were getting close with games, if like we were potentially getting a playoff run, he would come back. But there's no what's the point? There's no purpose in bringing him back. So it would make so much more sense to just keep him off the field, get a full rehab, get a full recovery done, and then bring him back out when he's good to go.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but well, we'll see. It doesn't get any easier this week for the Steelers, but that being said, let's go through.
At least we didn't set expectations extremely high like someone else's team, and then just absolutely shat ourselves.
I mean, dude. Okay, we had a reason to be optimistic at least. You guys on paper looked terrible. We at least looked good on paper.
We're just doing what we're supposed to do. Okay, you were the Super Bowl contenders before the season even started, and now you are struggling against the Texans. Come on, man.
Hey, don't sleep on Davis Mills, man. That's all I gotta say. Okay. That being said, let's go through these quickly. Our game predictions outside of Eagles Cowboys. There are 4 teams on bye this week. The byes start this week, so no Detroit, no Houston, no Las Vegas, and no Tennessee. They've all got the weeks off, but there are 14 other games this week. D-Mel, you're going to get in with us here on the picks here for all of our games. Let's start with this absolute barn burner of a Thursday night matchup that our eyes are going to behold on Amazon Prime Video. The Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears. I am going to take Washington here. I know Ron Rivera just threw his quarterback Carson Wentz under the bus, and he's like the third coach to do that to Carson Wentz. But
I feel like everyone does that at this point.
Yeah, but I still don't think the Bears are anywhere nearly as good as their record indicates, which is saying something when their record is 2-3. So I think Washington wins that game.
Even the Commanders, they got Brian Robinson back. I feel like they're going to actually be able to run the ball much better. Give Carson Wentz less to do, similarly to when he was on the Colts last season. And even still at the end of the season, we all know what happened against the Jaguars. But what the Colts proved last season, the more that you can just get the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands, the more likely you are to win football games. So, yeah, I have the Commanders.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Commanders also. I think it really comes down to Commanders just have the more weapons. They got Terry McLaurin, who's a top receiver in this league. They got Dobson, who's playing very well. And then you have Curtis Samuel, who's been a surprising player this year. And they get the ball to him in creative ways. And I'm going to take that Carson Wentz is going to have a bounce back game after Ron Rivera's words, and he will play very well.
I try to see that happening too. I feel like the Bears would be a good opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, you better. All right, next game that we got to talk about here. We start the Sunday slate. All right, what's our pick? Ravens, Giants.
Ravens got to win this,
I
think.
How are the Giants 4-1? This makes no sense.
Coaching.
They somehow won London.
Giants are 4-1 because of coaching, but the Ravens have a pretty damn good coaching staff as well, and they're a much better team. So the Ravens are going to win this.
Yeah, give me the Ravens. They have to, right? I mean, this has to end for the Giants eventually. They're not that good.
I agree. I'm going to go with the Ravens also. I think the Giants are the biggest frauds of the league right now, with Daniel Jones at the helm. Saquon, I think that's their only really good elite player that they have. And he's been played very well, hasn't been injured, so I'm happy for him. But other than that, I don't really see too much to be worried about. But yeah, I got the Ravens.
I will say, I think Brian Daboll's doing a really good job. But yeah, I mean, they're good, but they're not like 4-1 good, in my opinion. We'll see. Either way. All right, Jaguars, Colts. I give up on the AFC South, dude. Last week, I said the Jaguars were going to win the division, and now they go out and lose to the Texans. Give me Jacksonville here because I don't even know why. Just give them to me.
Is Jonathan Taylor still out?
He's questionable. I think.
Because that will determine who I choose in this game. If he's out, the Jags are definitely winning. But if he's playing, I could see the Colts splitting that series and winning.
What's our official pick here, Zach?
Hold on.
Jace is doing the research.
Jonathan Taylor is the Colts offense.
Yeah. Dima, what do you think here?
I think I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars this game. I think James Robinson has a bounce back week. ETN, he's getting some more usage, which I thought he would in the beginning of the year. Also, I'm a big believer in Trevor Lawrence. I just think he needs the right coaching, which he's got now, and he's getting better weapons as we go every year. Christian Kirk was a surprise to all of us, definitely with that big contract that he got. But he's lived up to that big contract, surprisingly. And I'll take the Jags in this one.
All right, Zach. Jonathan Taylor is optimistic to play this week. What's your final pick?
I'm taking the Colts to win last week, but I'm going to take them this week. I'm taking the Colts.
All right, Patriots Browns. What do we think here? This game isn't really worth talking about. I'm going to take the Browns. There's no way Bailey Zappi wins again.
I agree.
I'm going to take the Browns also.
I think they're just going to run the ball over New England.
Can we acknowledge how close the Browns are to being like undefeated right now? Like it's kind of silly, but
Jacoby Brissett has actually looked really good. And even when he was playing for the Colts, I remember he was more than all he had to be was a game manager, and he still was more than serviceable.
he was.
And last game, he had that really bad interception at the end, which cost them the game. But they're in position to win last week.
Yeah, they were. All right, so Bengals Saints now. Give me Cincinnati. They gotta start on up wins at some point. They got too much talent on that offense, and I think it's still Andy Dalton for the Saints this week. Regardless, Bengals gonna win this.
Bengals.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Bengals also. They got the weapons. They got the better quarterback.
Oh,
That,
but you know what? That reminds me. Andy Dalton against the Bengals.
Oh,
The Red Rocket revenge game, baby.
The Red Rifle, actually.
Whatever it is, I don't care. But I got the important word
you got
right.
the red part.
You know what? Give me the Saints. This is my upset.
No!
This is my upset pick.
No, he didn't.
In the dome, dude. Dude, this is the Andy Dalton revenge game. Is this his first time ever playing against the Bengals?
I think so.
Oh,
I think.
Did he do it with the Cowboys, Demo?
oh, yes, he did. He did beat the Bengals.
I think
He
you're right.
beat them.
Dallas. When he was in Dallas.
Interesting.
One
All right,
quick note in that. One quick
Yeah.
note. Since you're saying Andy Dalton against the Bengals, how about Joe Burrow back in that stadium? Wasn't that LSU played in that stadium?
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going with the Bengals. I didn't think about
No,
that.
you're locked in, Zach. I'm not
All right,
changing it
fine.
back.
I don't take it. All right, but next week when the Bengals win that game, you know how I feel about it.
All right. Buccaneers, Steelers on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Buccaneers.
Bucks.
Oh, Zach's thinking about it. Zach's thinking it. What?
Zach, you're just counting losses now.
Zach, don't tell me.
Zach,
You're
don't do it to yourself. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. You don't want to be here. It's not a fun place to be.
Next game.
Did you take the Bucks or
Yeah.
are that official? Okay.
Buccaneers.
All right. 49ers, Falcons. I think this is going to be a close game, but give me the Niners.
Niners. That defense is so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Probably best in the league.
I'm gonna go with the 49ers also. They have one of the best defenses in the league. Top 2, but not 1. But yeah.
Fair enough.
Number 1 for you. Oh, don't even answer that. Next game. Jets, Packers. Give me the Packers. Jets are looking surprisingly good, but at Lambeau, I think Packers have a bounce back week after losing to one of the other New York teams.
Why did you give me the Jets, Jace?
Just why not? I figured, you always want an upset game, but never do it. So I'd do it for yourself.
Yeah, Casey, I'm the only person who has
It's not gonna be
like
this
we all
game.
have agreed on every game. I'm the only person who has 2 different.
I was gonna pick the
But
Jets.
it's not this game.
Oh, really?
No
I
way.
was
The
gonna pick the Jets.
Oh my God. No. The Packers are winning this game by like at least 20. There's no way they're going to lose to a New York team 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, you did say there's no way they're losing to the Giants last week, and we see how that went.
Anyway. All right. Vikings, Dolphins.
Vikings.
I don't know who the Dolphins quarterback is, and Tyreek Hill's hurt, so give me the Vikings.
Yeah. Until they get Tua back, they're just not going to be what they were. People can say all they want about Tua. I mean, like shit, like even our very first episode of this show, I was trashing the man, but he's proving to be a very good quarterback in this league. And on top of that, if you don't have him and then Tyreek Hill with his injury, yeah, there's no way. The Vikings, I think, are just going to clearly take control of that game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with the Vikings. Tyreek Hill's not playing. Tua's not playing, and there are two main guys on offense. I mean, obviously Jalen Waddle's there. I won't forget about him, but we don't even know who's throwing the ball to him. So I'm gonna take the Vikings.
Skylar Thompson season, baby. All right. Panthers and Rams. The Steve Wilkes, PJ Walker led Panthers are gonna lose by 30. This is the lock of the week. Give me the Rams. There's no shot. Rams. If the Rams lose this game, they need to start considering their lives at this point.
I think they need to start considering the draft picks. Also, on top of that, those them picks aren't really working out too well. Give me the Rams.
Give me the Rams as well. And I'll say this. In the past, what I've noticed is usually when a head coach gets fired mid-season, that very next game, sometimes the teams come out really fired up and they usually actually overperform. But that's also usually when they have just an asshole head coach who you can tell he just lost the locker room. Like when Urban Meyer got fired last season. You can tell then for the rest of the next game and then moving forward to finish out the season, the team looked a lot more inspired and motivated. But I don't think anyone's gonna. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't in the locker room, but I don't think anyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Matt Rule's a fucking asshole." I've never heard that before. I just think it just wasn't a good coaching fit.
Yeah.
So, and now, yeah, Baker Mayfield's injured. He hasn't even been having that great of a season. But Philip Walker, there's a reason he was. Well, Sam Darnold's injured as well, but if he's the third string to those two, and neither of those are really clear franchise quarterbacks, then he could play decently. But the Rams, I think they've kind of had their Super Bowl hangover, but at the end of the day, they'll take care of business against this Panthers team that's dealing with all their issues.
I'd like to say before we move on that I'm pretty 99% sure it was last week that I said that Matt Rule was going to be the first coach fired this season. I didn't think it was going to be week 5, but here we are. I'm not surprised. That honestly might be the worst team in the NFL. I'm not even joking. Baker looks terrible when he's healthy, and now that he's not healthy anymore, and now they're trying to probably trade McCaffrey. So who knows? It's a poverty franchise. All right, Seahawks Cardinals. All right. Maybe you'll call this an upset. Give me Seattle. Geno Smith, dude. Look, they wrote him off. He didn't write back.
I'll tell you what, I've been saying this. Geno Smith, my dynasty quarterback last season. If I could pick him up in fantasy this year, I'd do it again. That man is good. I just saw a clip of him earlier making this throw. How many seasons has he been in the league? It came out of nowhere. Dude, he's literally looking better than Russell Wilson.
Exactly, yeah.
And it kind of goes to show maybe it was the system and the team that made Russell Wilson kind of look how he did for years. Because it was this throw of Geno Smith rolling outside of the pocket to his left and then on the run throwing it just a dime to one of his receivers. And it looked exactly like something we'd see Russell Wilson do years past.
I'm gonna also.
I'll just say this one last thing about Seahawks. They're not going to go to the playoffs and go on this deep run, but I think they're going to hover around 500 this year. I think they're going to compete with anyone they play.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks also. I think Geno has been playing. He's exceeded expectations. We all thought that was going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they've been good. They exceeded expectations, and I think Kenneth Walker at running back, Michigan State running back, former running back, is going to take off and help this offense even more than Rashawn Penny did.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, before we get to our big Sunday game, well, our two big Sunday games, one of which we're going to focus on a lot more than the other, but let's just get this Monday night game out of the way. Broncos-Chargers. Look, realistically, I think the Broncos are going to keep this close, and I see a scenario where they might win this game, but the Chargers got to have too much firepower. I think they're going to get the job done. I'm a little hesitant to say that because I find it hard. I just can't imagine us being 2-4 with Russell Wilson, but I also can't really imagine the Chargers losing this game. So I'll take them.
There's no way that the Chargers lose this game to the Broncos with what we've seen from them these past weeks. And I keep picking the Broncos, but I'm not doing it again. They're not beating the Chargers. There's no way. That's my lock of the week.
I'm going to also go with the Chargers. I think their high-powered offense is just going to be too much for the Broncos to keep up for them offensively. Russell Wilson, we all know, has been struggling. I think Russell Wilson and the Broncos just need a get-back game, but I don't think that this game is it.
And there aren't many on the schedule with the division that we're in, so we'll see what happens. All right, let's talk a little bit about this one. Not a ton because we want to spend more time on Cowboys Eagles, but we do have a big game in the AFC this week, and AFC divisional. I mean, honestly, best game of the playoffs last year, rematch. Bills, Chiefs, Allen, Mahomes. This has just been, I mean, this is eye candy to watch. It has been now for a few years. And Josh Allen last week, all he did to the Pittsburgh Steelers was throw for 350 yards and I think 4 touchdowns in the first half alone. So, yeah, he's pretty good at this whole football thing. And, of course, Mahomes last night threw 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. So, I mean, guys, I've got a hard time picking. This is in Arrowhead, by the way. I think that the Bills are going to come in and they're going to get a little bit of revenge over what happened last year. I think they're going to win this game, even on the road. I think they're going to get it done. They won in Arrowhead last year against the Chiefs in a regular season game, and I think they're going to do it again.
I agree. I guarantee they've had this game circled on their schedule for weeks. They've been thinking about this all offseason ever since the ending to that previous matchup. And they're not going to beat the shit out of the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs are going to put up a great fight, and it's going to be close. It might even be similar to what we've seen in the past, like that last game in the playoffs. I think everybody who's a fan of football would love to see something at least come close to that. But I think at the end of the day, the Bills are going to get their revenge in Arrowhead.
And I'm going to agree with that also. I think the Bills come in. I think, obviously, that divisional game last year stung. If I was a player, that would really sting for me also. So I'm going to take the Bills, and Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs have the revenge game they've been waiting for.
Okay, so that being said, here we are, our last game, and we're going to focus big time on this because it's Cowboys, Eagles. DML, this is why we brought you here. Jace, what are we at right now for the runtime on this show?
So we are currently at 53 minutes, but we can go along with this one. I want to hear this.
Yeah, let's. We're not even going to rush this. This is a special episode. Let's go as long as we need to for Eagles and Cowboys because this is our prime matchup of the week. Sunday Night Football. 5-0 Philadelphia against 4-1 Dallas in Lincoln Financial Field. Guys, I'm kind of just going to open this up to you guys. I'll guide the conversation a little bit as needed, but whatever you guys want to talk about, you could talk about. I'm going to tell you, first of all, who I'm going to pick this week, Dallas and Philly. So, first of all, big question, and I actually probably should research this before. D-Mel, is Dak going to play this week?
To me, I'm not even 100% sure who is going to start this week. I know Dak can now grip the football about time, but I do think Cooper Rush will be rolling out this week. That's just my gut feeling. I know
It
Mike McCarthy
says-
said he wanted Dak to have a full slate of practice before he starts, and
Yeah.
we're just kind of waiting on that. So I do think Cooper Rush will be starting this game.
It says so I saw 6 hours ago there was a report that came out that Dak is going to begin throwing tomorrow, which is Wednesday. We're recording this on Tuesday night, so he's going to begin throwing tomorrow. But if not, it will be Cooper Rush, who is 5-0 in his career as a starter. He's never lost, dating all the way back to last year when he beat the Vikings. So that being said, 5-0 Eagles, 4-1 Cowboys. I think primetime game, regardless of who the quarterback is, it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be hard fought. I think the defenses are going to show up, but there are going to be those occasional big offensive plays. And I think this is where the undefeated season comes to an end. I'm going to take the
Let's
Dallas.
go. Yes, sir.
They win this game. I really do. I've been going back and forth on this. I mean, the fact it's at home, Phillies looks good all year. And personally, I will probably be rooting for them, but I can't ignore what Dallas has done these past few weeks with how good their defense is. And I think last week, what Arizona was able to do might have provided a little bit of a game plan for what the Cowboys could try to dial up defensively to slow down Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and that rushing attack that Philly has as well. So I think Cowboys win it in a close one.
I'll tell you what, guys. I feel disrespected. 5-0 Eagles, 5-0 Cooper Rush. At the end of the day, only one of them can come out undefeated. And you know what? I actually was thinking the Cowboys, not gonna lie. But with you guys both choosing Dallas, I feel like it would just be a disservice to the team if I went against the Eagles. And I do think they're gonna win this game, and I am taking them. Because you know what? There's no way Cooper Rush and that team is gonna march into the link and win the game, even though there's been plenty of games where that similar circumstances has happened in the past where Dallas just comes in and just beats your ass, and they've had our number the past few times we played. But you know what? This year is different. This is a different Eagles team, and it's going to be close. There's no way we beat the shit out of them with how they're playing and with that defense. And what worries me is our offensive line has had dudes in and out of the lineup. Last game we finished with, well, let me say this. Jordan Mailata, I don't know his injury status. He didn't play last game. He might see another one on the bench. Kelsey left last game. He came back. Dickerson left last game. He came back. Siamalu's been dealing with injury. The only offensive lineman that doesn't seem to have any injury whatsoever is Lane Johnson holding down the right side. But with that Dallas front seven, that's going to cause a lot of issues for the team. And they have to get the ball out quick, and they have to get it into the hands of their playmakers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, even Dallas Goedert, throw him in the mix. I think the game ultimately, similarly to how this entire season has gone, it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts and how he is able to deal with. You got Micah Parsons coming after him, DeMarcus Lawrence, and then everyone else there. It's going to come down to how he handles the pressure in his face, because you already know Dallas is going to be dialing up all sorts of blitzes to get after him and take advantage of that banged up offensive line.
Dima, let's get your opening thoughts on what you think. First of all, who you picking, and just give us kind of a general overview of what's going to transpire here.
I think I'm gonna first say this. It's gonna be a tough game for Dallas. If they win this game with Cooper Rush, that's gonna be a lot of conferences. There's gonna be a big QB conferencing about Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott. But that being said, I'll be very shocked if Cooper Rush wins this game. I really hope he wins. Hope he makes the big time throws he needs to make when he needs to make them. I do think the Dallas Cowboys game plan is going to be run the ball. It's going to be hard to run the ball against this Eagles front. They got Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and all those guys up there. But I'm going to take Dallas. I might be biased, but I'm going to take Dallas anyway. I think the defense and Michael Parsons, and I think Trayvon Diggs is going to lock up A.J. Brown. And I think Cowboys are going to roll out to a 23-20 game-winning field goal and come out of Lincoln Financial Field.
You think it comes down to Brett Maher?
Brett Maher.
Really?
Brett Maher from 51 yards.
Oh, he's
Heard it
getting
first.
stick with it. All right, Zach, do you have a particular score prediction or how this is going to end for us? Or what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you right now, if the game came down to a field goal, I feel pretty confident in Dicker the kicker. But I don't think it's going to come down to a field goal. It's not going to come down to a field goal. You know why? The Eagles are going to take care of business. It's going to be a one-score game. We're not going to be able to put up a bunch of points, but we're going to put up enough points. I'm going to go with 27-21.
Okay, interesting.
You really think the Eagles are going to put up 27 against this defense? You know they haven't allowed 20 points all year.
He makes a point.
They haven't played the Eagles yet.
Who have the Eagles played?
The Jaguars.
Hey, 5-0. You like to say 5 rings. I'm gonna say 5-0 until we lose this week, inevitably, because I'm just like, this is what happens. I keep picking the Eagles to lose and they win, and now I'm the only person to pick them to win, and I'm just so cocky and just talking my ass off to you.
I like it. I want you to keep doing it.
But you know what? I will gladly take the fall with my team. If I am choosing them. I don't care.
I will say
I believe in them.
Dallas's 4-1 record is probably, in terms of the quality of teams they've beat, a little more impressive. But the fact that Philly's 5-0, the fact that they've kind of asserted their dominance against most of the teams they've played, I think
control who we've played. We're just picking the teams we're given, and we've won every single one so far. So if we beat the Cowboys this week, then
that Minnesota game was the big statement, I thought.
Which one?
The Minnesota game, Monday night.
Oh yeah, we made Kirk Cousins look like
Kirk Cousins.
I can't even say that though, because he looked really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Prime time Kirk Cousins.
That was probably one of the worst quarterback performances I've seen in a long time. He just kept trying to force it to Justin Jefferson, and every single time, Darius Slay very easily could have had like 4 or 5 interceptions. It was that bad, and that's just Darius Slay. He kept getting his hands on the ball, and I think he had 2, but he could have had more.
I think there was one drive where, like, I think Kirk tried to throw him the ball like 4 times, and the 4th time, Darius Slay finally caught it for an interception. Like, it was that bad. But yeah, either way, I mean, yeah, it's very interesting when you look at these two teams, because Philly's quality of schedule to this point probably not as impressive as Dallas's, but Philly's the only undefeated team in the league. There's something to be said about that for sure. And they have looked good. I mean, obviously, and Zach, you know, we did the pilot episode back in April, and week 1, I was not that high on Philly. You kind of were thinking probably wild card team, you know, contender maybe for the division. I didn't see it. I didn't think there was any way that they were going to be able to challenge the Cowboys, but I think a lot of it comes down to what Nick Sirianni's been doing. It's probably going to be either he or Dable, I think, that wins Coach of the Year at this point, the way things are going. And what he's done, the way they've unlocked the run game, but also what Jalen Hurts has done. He has looked a lot more improved and a lot more comfortable this year as a passer. He still has that big rushing threat to him, but he looks, from what I've seen, you know, he's been making these throws, you know, these tight window throws, these layered throws that I don't think he would have made last year. We wouldn't have seen him. It seems like the progression that Jalen Hurts has gone on has really gone a long way. And also, of course, we'd be remiss, and I think a lot of that has to do with them also bringing in A.J. Brown. And you pair him with Devontae.
Going back to what you said about Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, the first thing that stands out to me that I've seen kind of signs of it last season, but now it's really starting to take fold, like center. It's like the culture that those two are building. We've seen Jalen Hurts and what he can do as a leader since his days back at Alabama. Everyone's always raving about him, saying, "Oh, this dude, like, he means business." Sirianni, the culture he's built, those two together, they're competitors. They want to win. We have guys like Jason Kelsey, who's been on the team for years, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. They're all great leaders. And those in the mix with these younger leaders who are also trying to put their what their vision and what they're trying to do out there, I feel like it's just led to a recipe for success this season. And yeah.
I mean, yeah, and that being said, I mean, yeah, for how good Philly's been, we've seen it, and we're gonna get a better idea. I mean, they've got some tough games coming up even after this game, so we're gonna get a really good idea where this team stands. But then on the other hand, for Dallas too, I mean, you know, that Week 1 game, they were the only team in Week 1 that didn't score a touchdown. They looked terrible against the Buccaneers, which I mean, I mean, Dima, I'm sure watching that, yeah, you said that was a big letdown because I mean, you get rid of Amari Cooper in the offseason, but the offense it was non-existent that night. And then Dak gets hurt. And at that point, you're thinking, I mean, this is going to be a disaster for the Cowboys. And there's no way they're going to come out and beat the defending AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals off a loss. And then they do. And then you're thinking, oh, well, now they get the 2-0 Giants. Like, they're not going to beat them. Then they do. And then they get the Commanders. And I mean, we thought they were going to win that game. But then they get the Super Bowl champion Rams last week. And you're like, Rams got to turn it around eventually. Like Cooper Rush, he's not that good, and yet they dominate the game pretty much in every aspect. So, I mean, for you, D-Mel, I mean, for the Cowboys, I feel like have, you know, I think they were a team that we always kind of joke is overrated, but now I feel like they're underrated, which is weird because I don't think we ever associate the term underrated with the Cowboys, but right now they might be.
Yeah, and I agree, Casey. I think they've certainly exceeded my expectations after Dak went down. I really thought the season was basically over. But this defense and Dan Quinn has carried the load. Everyone's thinking, oh, Cooper Rush is the guy now, and Dak Prescott needs to watch his job. That's not it. Cooper Rush threw 16 passes last game, completed 10 of them for 100 yards and 0 touchdowns. And we won that game against the Los Angeles Rams. What do you think happens when a top 10 quarterback in the name of Dak Prescott, who just led the number 1 offense last year, comes back? We've been averaging maybe 18 points a game with Cooper Rush. That number is going to jump by at least a touchdown. So I just think once Dak comes back, I think we have a relatively easy schedule coming up. Like after we have the Lions and then the Bears. Those are 2 very winnable games. Definitely if Dak is back. But if the Cowboys win this game against the Eagles, the league will be put on notice because Dak Prescott is going to be back at quarterback against the Lions for certain, and that's when the season starts.
I was just about to say, if the Cowboys win this week, underrated, throw that out the window, dude. You're literally not going to turn on ESPN and not – you're going to hear about the Cowboys every 5 minutes. And if they're not talking about the Cowboys, you're going to see at the bottom. It's just going to be like, oh, it's – and that's how it always is with the Cowboys.
Yeah. Okay, so now, Zach, I want to go back to something D-Mel said. Do you really think the difference between Cooper Rush and Dak is that big? Do you think that Dak is a top 10 quarterback? I don't know if I agree with that. he's good. I agree he's better than Cooper Rush, but is he I don't know if I go to top 10. What do you think, Zach?
He is.
I think we should play a game. Let's go through every Casey or whoever. Let's just go through every single starting quarterback in the NFL. Just speed round. I will just say better or worse than Dak Prescott.
All right, deal.
Just do it.
All right, let's we got to go by division here. That's the easiest way to do this.
Yeah, I would say.
Let's start with the AFC South because that's the first division I'm thinking of. Trevor Lawrence, better? Is he?
There's no
Better
way.
talent, worse. He's
I
not
think-
better.
I'm gonna say worse, barely. I think he's.
Yeah, keep scrolling down that
He could
list.
be
I'll
better
bet you he's
one day.
top 10.
Let's go down this top 10 list instead. Let's do this. All right, Tom Brady. Do we
Better.
better? Yeah. Okay. Aaron
Tom Brady's
Rodgers.
Better.
Better.
Josh Allen.
Better.
Better.
Okay, that's 3. Justin Herbert.
Better.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes.
Better.
Better.
Okay, that's 5. Joe Burrow.
Better.
Okay.
Better.
Jace, help me out here. Lamar Jackson.
Better.
No,
Better.
he's not better than Lamar Jackson.
Maybe not as a passer, but he as a
A pa-
quarterback. Yes,
Well,
better.
as a quarterback, you got to pass the football.
Yes, but he can do that well enough along with running the ball that I think he's better.
I would take Dak Prescott over Lamar Jackson any day. Lamar Jackson is.
right.
I hope injuries never happen, but he is bound to get an injury at some point with how much he runs, all the hits he takes.
But that doesn't have to do with how he is as a quarterback. That's a hypothetical.
I'm just saying. I know, but I rather have Dak Prescott than Lamar Jackson. That's just,
Do we say Matt Stafford is better than Dak?
you better not.
Not now.
I think the year I would have, but no.
I think you have to differentiate Matt Stafford of this year or Matt Stafford of last year because they're two
Matt Stafford
completely
last
different people.
Last year I'd take.
Yes, last year was better.
Year, no,
I'd
he's
say
terrible.
Stafford last year.
All right, who's next?
Oh, look at that! Oh my God!
Yeah, this NFL article says Dak is 9.
I wouldn't take Dak over Dak. I'll be honest.
But let's scroll down because there's some better options down here. I think.
No.
Kyler, no.
No.
Kyler Murray's no.
Okay, good.
Russell, no. I can't take.
Yeah. All right.
I do think Dak is top 10.
I don't know. Okay, but here's
You
the
think
thing.
Derek Carr is better than Dak Prescott, Casey?
No. I don't think he
Okay.
is.
It's close.
But I just want to see if anyone jumps out here, Jace. Not Cousins. Not Ryan Tannehill. God, no.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Do we
No
think
way.
Do we think Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott?
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, since Dak ain't playing, yeah, of course he's better. But
No,
This
but
man who
let's
could
imagine.
barely grip a football. Are we talking that Dak? Or are we talking like last year Dak? What Dak and what Hurts?
we're talking. Let's just Dak and like
Let's talk about
Prime
know
Dak
Dak is.
versus
what we
prime
know
Hurts.
Dak is. Like everyone
Okay,
knows.
what is that, Chase? Prime Dak versus prime Jalen Hurts. You know, we've seen Dak at his best. We are seeing Jalen at his best. Like, who's better?
With how Hurts is rushing the ball this year, I've never seen that from Dak. And he's getting the ball into his playmakers. He's been flawless passing. He's had a few interceptions, hasn't fumbled. This season, there's no reason for me not to go with Hurts. At least if we're going and also that's such a small sample size. But like I said, Jalen Hurts, I would put him. We discussed this last week. At first, I was bold and said, top 3 for MVP. And then the more reason they put into me, it was all right, maybe he deserves to at least have his name thrown out there. But with how he's played this season so far and the position he's put the team in, I would take him right now. And that is recency bias. But
Chase
Yeah.
is hovering. Is Geno Smith better than Dak
yes,
Prescott?
and I really want to say yes. I want to
Dude.
so bad.
All right,
We
okay,
going off prime
Geno.
Geno Smith this season. and Dak Prescott. The Geno Smith era has finally arrived.
Oh my
It's
god.
been years in the making, but you know what? Geno Smith, he's like what, 32? He's finally entering his peak.
We've waited for this for so long. Okay, one more quarterback. We gotta talk about Tua because
Tua.
last week Jace came up and said that Tua was like a top 3 MVP candidate before he got hurt. D-Mel, I need your. Do you think Jalen is better? Do you think Tua is better? What's your opinion on what we've discussed here?
I think. Wait, are we talking about Dak? So what are we talking about?
We're comparing to Dak. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'll start with Tua. That's not even in the same conversation. Tua,
is it?
he's definitely developed.
Yeah.
I thought he was written off. I written him off. But he got the weapons now, and it's showing. And I hope he gets back healthy and balls out like he was. But I would still much rather have Dak Prescott than Tua.
I'd actually agree. I think Dak's better than Tua.
I think it's close, but I think I'd give the edge to Dak. But let's talk about.
Carson Wentz.
We're not talking about D-Mel.
Oh, hey, wait, what? Yeah, wait, Zach.
Let's I feel like we have to, because the number of heated debates that D-Mel and I have gotten over or into in the past with Wentz and Dak and who is better.
Can we put
It's
that
at a point now where I look back at that and I'm like, I genuinely think there was a point in time. There was a point in time where Wentz was better than Dak.
Yeah, I agree. He was an MVP one year.
The first 10
Carson
games.
Wentz just isn't the same quarterback anymore. Like, he's clearly just gotten worse and worse every single season. And it's at a point now where it's not even a debate. You can't even, there's nothing to debate. Carson Wentz might not even be the best team or quarterback on his team.
Taylor Heineke.
Maybe Taylor Heineke, yeah.
Taylor Heineke has balled out in the playoffs, which is something that Carson Wentz is yet to do.
Let's not bury the lead here, D-Mel. We need your opinion on this. How do you compare Dak versus Jalen Hurts? What's that comparison in your mind?
I will give credit to Jalen Hurts first. I don't hate him. I like him as a football player. I liked him at Oklahoma. I liked him at Alabama. He's definitely improved this year. I think it helps to have AJ Brown there. Devontae Smith is getting better. So I think he really took the next step that I think everyone was really questioning before this season, if he could make that step, and he certainly has. But I would still have Dak Prescott over him. You can just look at the stats. Dak Prescott had an amazing year last year coming off that leg injury. No one thought he could come back from that injury and come back the same player he was, but he came back even better. He did suffer a calf strain, as you guys know, about week 8. And it kind of trended down towards the end of the season. So I think he rushed back, and that kind of played an effect towards the end of the year. But I know who Dak is, and I believe in Dak. He's one of my favorite players. He's always has been. And I think he's got the better arm. Obviously, he doesn't have the mobility, at least not anymore. But I much rather have Dak. His smarts. I'd rather have Dak than Jalen Hurts. It's close. I will say it's close, but I much rather have Dak.
Where do you put Jalen Hurts in the MVP race right now? Where does he rank for you?
I say top 3. I think Allen's got to be up there.
Yeah.
Lamar has played very well, even though I just criticized him. There's a couple other guys that's been great. I'm trying to think. Herbert's been decent with all the injuries that they had. It's going to be Tom Brady. Watch out for Tom Brady after that divorce. He's gonna tear. I think they're going to the Super Bowl now. But
you think so?
That is my week 5 Super Bowl prediction. You heard it here first. Geno Smith.
Jay,
Be up
Oh,
there in the-
Geno Smith.
You
Jason.
gotta always have Gino in the conversation at this point. You never know with him anymore.
Yes.
True.
He's in year 10.
That's crazy.
Can we just talk about that?
I don't even know what teams he's been on because he hasn't been on seen any playing time until just this past season. And even last season he was okay, but this year he's going into the season as their starter. He's good.
Oh, here, if you look here, you can see all the teams he's been on.
I thought Drew Lock was going to win that job also. I
did too. I thought it was crazy that he didn't, and now Gino just looks like a completely different human being.
Oh, here we go. I actually found here are all of his teams.
Yeah. So for those at home who can't see
He's
this,
on the Chargers?
yeah, Jets from 2013 to 2016, Giants 2017, Chargers 2018, and wait, was he not on a team in 2019? Is that really what?
I guess not.
What the heck?
I mean,
Really?
he came back a new quarterback. That's for sure.
Well, he's okay. He's definitely been on Seattle the past few years. That we know. So either way, yeah, it's pretty wild. But okay. So that being said, so for Cowboys Eagles, as we were talking about, and I completely blanked on my question now as we got sidetracked on Geno Smith here. But yeah, come on, Jace, really? We were talking about Jalen Hurts. Okay, here it was. In your opinion, guys, Zach, I'll start with you. Do you think the Eagles can win a Super Bowl this year with Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
D-Mel,
I think they're going to, but I think they can win any big game with him.
You
As
think
long as
Jalen
the
Hurts
whole team comes to play? Because Jalen Hurts, he's a winner. He has that mentality, and he's been on the big stage before. He's been in the national. He as a freshman in college was in the NCAA championship.
So you think the Eagles can win a Super Bowl at some point? Maybe not this year, but at some point with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. D-Mel, do you think the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott?
Yes, absolutely. I think Dallas, the one thing with them, they get a lot of criticism for not doing free agency moves. Like this free agency this past offseason was one of their worst ones, I thought, in the beginning, but it ends up turning out to be great. You got they got guys like Dante Fowler that's been decent, a good pass rusher for us. Anthony Barr has been decent, but what the Cowboys have always been great at is drafting. Michael Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, they're all in their first contracts, and they're only going to get better. So I think they're going to continue to draft well and support Dak. I think they're going to dump Zeke after this year with that contract, free up some more money, and I think they have a very good shot of at least getting to a Super Bowl, if not winning one, with Dak Prescott and definitely with Micah Parsons on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. Counter arguments. Zach, can the Cowboys win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott?
No.
You don't think so? Why not?
And why not, man?
It's impossible. I think this large part has to do with me just not wanting to picture this, but I just cannot imagine or get through my head just him hoisting that Lombardi trophy. Ew, it's disgusting.
See, I'll be realistic.
Email, do you think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you think Jalen Hurts can lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl win at some point?
I'll be like Zach, I'll be realistic, and I hate to admit this, but with the team that they have now and the moves that Howie Roseman has been making, like trades like trading for AJ Brown and trading up for Devontae Smith, if he keep making those moves and Jalen Hurts can keep progressing, then I think they definitely have a shot.
Okay, I'll be honest. Yes, But that's because I think you can, if your defense is good enough, you can win a Super Bowl with almost anyone. I mean, Casey, as a Denver Broncos fan, you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Peyton Manning's final season, dude.
We could have won that Super Bowl with
Micah
Brock.
Parsons reminds me of Von Miller. They're very similar players, I'd say, with how like off the edge there, just constantly in the backfield, athletic freaks just all over the place. And then if that defense continues to be the best defense or like top 3 in the NFL, and their offense, because that's the thing. Usually people ask that question like, oh, if the Super Bowl is, if it comes down to Dak, can he win it? I don't think their defense, I think he'll just be able to kind of cruise by and just keep the offense going. And even if he has a few errors here and there, I feel like it ultimately won't really matter because I feel like the defense and then that team in place is just gonna clean up his mistakes for him. So
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're both coming from. I think there's definitely abilities on both sides. If you want my personal opinion, I do think the Eagles can win a Super Bowl right now, the way they're constructed. I don't think Mike McCarthy's the guy to lead the Cowboys.
yes.
I think Dak Prescott could. I don't think Mike McCarthy can. And I honestly don't know if Jerry Jones can. That's the bigger issue here.
We've been saying that for years, D-Mill and I. We've gone back and forth. The Cowboys will never win a Super Bowl under Jerry Jones for as long as he has control over that team because of the head coaches that he hires. Yeah. Jason Garrett, he's not going to win a head coach. He's not going to win a Super Bowl with him as head coach. Mike McCarthy, basically Jason Garrett 2.0. And now the success that the team's seeing this year, you already know Mike McCarthy after last season was on the hot seat. This is just going to extend his time with them again. So he's going to be there way longer than he probably should be.
My point of view on this, I think, let's start with Mike McCarthy. I think he's an upgrade over Jason Garrett, I will say. I mean, it's not a big upgrade, but I would much rather have Mike McCarthy over Jason Garrett. But don't forget, Mike McCarthy has won 5 games with their backup quarterback. Like, you got to give him some credit there. These are real NFL teams, and he's still winning football games with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush was cut from the Dallas Cowboys before this football season, and he was re-signed to the practice squad. So it's not like Cooper Rush is an all-star backup quarterback, but I think Mike McCarthy has been decent, but I still believe if they don't make a deep playoff run, Sean Payton or Dan Quinn will be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys next season.
That's a very good point about Cooper Rush. And for a second there, I thought you were going to say, let's not forget, he has won a Super Bowl. That's why I'm like, dude, don't even go. Rodgers. It's like, come on. But no, I see what you mean about Cooper Rush. And you've been mentioning that Sean Payton thing for a while. I could definitely see that happening. But with how the season's going, there's no way Cowboys make the playoffs and have a successful run, and then they just decide, oh, let's bring in Sean Payton. So
I think we have to go to the NFC Championship in order Mike McCarthy not to get fired. I think he's that close. Jerry Jones is getting a little older year after year. He wants that Super Bowl. Him and Sean Payton, very close friends. And I think that is a possible move, but I think I'd rather have Dan Quinn.
Yeah, I
head coach?
Because I want to keep the defense together. I like how he uses Micah. I like how he uses some of those guys. Trust me, I would love Sean Payton. But if I had to choose, if Sean Payton had to be our coach or Dan Quinn had to go, I think I'd keep Dan Quinn.
Yeah, I can see both sides of that argument. But yeah, Sean Payton would be an upgrade for sure. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. Okay, boys. final thoughts. Give me your closing statements, closing thoughts, closing arguments. Eagles, Cowboys. It's gonna happen this Sunday night. What are you guys' opinions here on everything that's gonna go down?
Dude, if we get our asses beat by a Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys team at Lincoln Financial after starting off the season 5-0 and me just gassing up this team this entire show for the first time after constantly picking them to lose,
Hang on now.
I think we might have our first rant of the Eagles next episode. We've had a couple now from Casey with the Broncos, but I haven't had much to complain about. And when the Eagles are asked, trust me, I get pissed off. I'm just as passionate as any other fan, but I haven't had anything to complain about yet. I've been extremely fortunate with where they've been. But with that being said, this is the perfect recipe for a game that would just piss me off. And it might happen if what you two predicted is the final outcome.
I'm gonna say my suggestion is that we do a reaction video again after this game.
Is there a friendly wager or something we want to put on this game?
I'm not that confident.
Well, are we doing the tiebreaker?
We will. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
honestly, if either of us lose, I feel like we don't have to put an additional wager. I feel like our morale will just be crushed.
Yeah,
dude,
fair.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
we lose that game, it's gonna be bad.
I think there's still more pressure on the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game than there's Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah, you guys have your backup quarterback.
Yeah,
and it's It's at the Lincoln Financial Field. We have home. We've been doing this show for a while. I'm struggling to speak, but you're completely right.
But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's about 50-50 who wins this game. I think it just depends on who shows up. I mean, who's more physical. You got the offensive line and defensive line for the Eagles, and you have the defensive line who's for the Dallas Cowboys, who's been amazing. But we'll see on Sunday night, and yeah, go Cowboys.
Go Birds.
I'm just the unbiased rooting party here. I don't really have. Well, I'm a little biased toward the Eagles, but like not overly. And I picked the Cowboys anyway, so what do I know? All right, that's that for that. So it's gonna be fun to watch. We'll obviously break it down on our next episode of the Gridiron Line. Before we go, Jace texted me and said, "Let's do Thursday night football tiebreaker because why not?" So why not? Zach, we both took the Commanders. I guess Timo can get on this too. Score prediction for this game: Commanders, Bears. Dear Lord. Give me Commanders 23-15.
What is like the most boring possible score?
This is one of those games I feel like it's so bad it could actually be good. Like both these teams are so bad that
it'll make each other look better than they actually are. Like Wentz will actually throw.
Casey, the last time that was said was the Broncos Colts game.
Well, that was worse than I expected, but I mean, these two teams are just absolute garbage fires. Like you it's almost like it's like watching a train wreck. Like you hate that it's going on, but like you're intrigued enough to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Give me Commanders 20-10.
Demo, what do you think here?
I'll go Commanders 21. Bears 13.
So we all think this is going to be low scoring.
Yeah, I think it'll have enough plays to keep it a little interesting, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. That's just me hoping that it's actually not a terrible game, but we'll see. But, all right. That being said, boys, I think we had a very spirited debate tonight. We touched a lot of topics on Eagles, Cowboys. I'm sure we'll probably revisit this later in the year when they play again, assuming that they're both very good still. So that being said, thank you to our special guest, Dylan Mellinger, for joining us here tonight on the Gridiron Lion on this special edition, long extended show, but it was well worth it as we broke down everything there is to break down about this game with two of the most passionate NFC East fans I know. With our producer, Jace Gibbons, but not his computer. And I don't even know what happened to Jace's computer, but he's here. He's making things happen behind the scenes still, putting the show on. And for my amazing co-host, Zachary Steven Rhoda, I'm Casey Kreider. We'll talk to you next week. Have fun. Enjoy the games. Enjoy Cowboys, Eagles, and we'll be back to talk about it all next week.
Good night, everyone.
All right.